today is George Roach, the CEO of Premier African Minerals, following an update to the agreement with Canmax, particularly relating to that long stop date and setting out the way forward for the partnership. Well, George, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you very much indeed. A little relieved that we've got that RNS out, but there's a lot of hard work to follow.
Well, I presume it's been quite a while to get that agreed and then get that out, and there's obviously still more work to do now that that's out. But I mean, just from reading it seemed sort of clear that Canmax were perhaps no longer solely interested in receiving the spodumene, but at the moment now more concerned with getting back their prepayment. So is that true? And if so, why?
I think that's an interpretation somebody has placed on this. Canmax has always been concerned about spodumene, and they've always been concerned that they advanced money and they want comfort. They want to know how it's going to get paid back to them. And Zulu is extensively delayed, thanks to the previous contractors, Stark, horribly delayed, in fact. And I think that Canmax has been frustrated over that and a few other things. So their objectives, I don't think, have changed. They want spodumene, they want to be repaid.
Right, okay. So was it fair to say they're a bit annoyed at the time that's being taken and kind of want to de-risk here but still be able to get the product later?
I suppose one could put that interpretation there. I mean, it isn't something that we've discussed. Are Canmax annoyed? Yes, I'm sure they are. And they're probably particularly annoyed with me. But we've done the best that we could at all times. We've maintained a proper line of communication to the best we can. And I think that there is a proper solution on the table at the moment.
Okay. Well, the RNS did make it clear that Canmax do want that oversight of PREM's financials, and they've got that 30-day time on PREM to find a reputable buyer to Canmax who will either settle, i.e. pay off or manage Canmax prepayment amount plus interest. So it sounds like a little bit they're turning up the heat here on PREM. So are you comfortable with the terms of the agreement?
You know what? We're a very open company. We're audited annually. Canmax has access to they're a shareholder. They have access to our accounts. I have absolutely no problem whatsoever. I don't think that there's anything that's going to change or any way at all. And just to note that involvement, oversight, whatever one wants to call it, in relation to the operations and the subsidiaries, the corporate affairs and corporate ongoing and so on of PREM is a separate issue altogether. If somebody was to take oversight of that, then you could hardly be an independent company trading as we are on AIM. So it's limited.
It's a limited oversight. Okay. The main thing is this this term they want to see this LOI within 30 days or another 30 days. So, I mean, it was also stated in the RNS that, well, I think actually, maybe it was you that said it in the RNS, that expressions of interest are well advanced with a number of interested parties. So yes. This needs to effectively complete by the 1st of May, or at worst, I think the 1st of June. So, I mean, that's not too long away. It's in the RNS. It's public knowledge that's what's been stated. There are interested parties. So can I ask, how serious are these discussions, or advanced are they today?
Very serious, and with multiple parties. I mean, I'm sitting in Harare today, and this is one of them. There are others that are going to require that I'm in Europe in the very next couple of days. They're very serious. So this is not something that just has arisen suddenly. The gist of what Canmax has now agreed has been in proposals to more than one company for some time. So it isn't that this is new. The other thing is that the letters of intent are non-binding. They have to have as a condition attached to them proper due diligence. And I know that the companies that we're talking to will want to go through proper processes. And in all probability will want actually to see that the plant is up and going again. So it's not that I'm running around now trying to find somebody to suddenly give me a letter of intent. there's a lot of work that's gone on in the background.
Right. Okay. So is it beyond that sort of initial due diligence period then with the people who you're talking to?
It is at due diligence / moving beyond it.
Right. Okay. And you've got effectively at worst 2 months now, haven't you, to get that LOI? So, yeah.
Yeah,
How
well, it is,
confident are
but
you
I
that will
don't.
happen?
My target is not 2 months. My target is to get this thing done as quickly as possible.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I guess you can't disclose this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. The companies that you're talking with, are they finance? Are they finance companies? Can you give us any idea of who they are?
Both.
Right. Okay. Both. Okay. So, so on the if the miners, then I mean, would they be able to help on the construction and the completion of the plant and getting into production?
Mark, to fix the plant, nothing has changed since August last year, right? We haven't had access to the funds to go and do it. That's been the problem. Is this going to be the ultimate panacea? Well, I certainly hope so and believe so. But, I think we've all got to bear in mind that we haven't finally commissioned the spodumene circuit. That's all that's left to commission. And the moment we can get access to funds and get that done, I think is a giant leap forward. So, no, not necessarily, not from a technical perspective.
Right. Okay. It's you know what you need to do, and it's getting the funds to do it. I mean, as part of the discussions that you're having, is there a discussion around or a concern around getting the plant to production, or are the parties you're talking to confident that that can be done?
I think there's general agreement that at this stage, with the work we've done, the additional test work and everything else, that this plant will work when we put these modifications in and get it properly commissioned.
Okay. Okay. And again, as part of the discussions, I guess this is ongoing. The terms will be announced later, but would the idea be to de-risk Canmax totally or partially, or is that something to be determined?
It's to be determined.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. And again, how could it look with a new offtake for spodumene? Would they look to take a new offtake agreement, or perhaps a percentage ownership of Zulu?
Mark, a percentage ownership of Zulu has not been put on the table at this stage.
Okay.
And the other thing, I think that one's got to be careful in how one chooses to interpret this RNS, because it's reasonably clear that whilst Canmax want product and want their prepayment paid back, management of our production from mine gate and dealing with the financial aspects associated with the selling of that product and distribution of the proceeds is something that's still got to be discussed and dealt with.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying at the same time to cut the OPEX requirement that PREM would be faced with. If I can use somebody who picks it up at MineGate, I cut a whole string of other expenses out, which makes our operation a little easier to fund and keep going.
Okay. And a question that was sent to me by a couple of shareholders was, your position as CEO, is the plan to remain in that position given where we are now?
Mark, and it's in the public domain, I said in 2023 that it really was time for me to move on. But my commitment is that for so long as PREM or whoever the off-takers are, whoever it is, require me to be here to assist, to try and get this plant going and get everything done finally, I'm available. Right. I know I look 21, but I'm actually 76. And I think it's about time for a break. So will I stay on? I don't think I would stay on as CEO. I really don't. But am I going to be committed to help in whatever way? Yes, of course I am. I remain a shareholder of the company after all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's nice to hear that you're committed to getting this through, and then maybe you can indeed take a break. Another question that came in was the interest Canmax on the Canmax prepayment debt. Is it now frozen, or will that continue to accrue through to the end of the year?
No, it's not frozen. And part of what we've agreed is that on future fundraisers, Canmax will be in a position to convert out part or all of that interest, depending on the amounts, into PREM shares.
Okay. So if I just to sum up and make sure this is all correct, really your immediate priority now is to lock in that non-binding letter of interest by May the 1st to keep that process moving. From there, you need to convert that LOI into a binding agreement, ideally well before the end of the year, to satisfy Canmax and stabilise their financial position. Is that right? Have I got that correct?
Oh, you have, Mark, but I just, again, let me make the point that the people that I'm talking to, or certainly some of the people that I'm talking to, are people who are already known to Canmax. And they are people who will go and have a direct negotiation with or without me. I'll be there and be available, or PREM will be there and be available. But that they will need to settle this thing between themselves and being very substantial companies and Canmax.
Right. Okay. So that will be worked out effectively, but as long as it's all agreed before the end of the year, then whatever terms are agreed thereafter is what is agreed. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Just finally, George, investors I think really want to see what you might say the end of the tunnel here. Getting this is a big hurdle that's now been addressed, and now you've got to do a couple of other things to progress this forward. And then once that's happened, you can then start to get back active on the plant and get it into production, as you've already stated with what you need. So you've got to get to that production and saleable product effectively. I mean, how far away is the end of the tunnel, do you think?
Mark, it's 3 months from unveiling of funds. That's what it was in the middle of last year. It hasn't changed.
Okay. And then and into production ASAP? Yes. I believe that what we're planning to do on the spodumene circuit, that we should, and with all the accumulated knowledge we have now related to the rest of the circuit, we should be able to produce spodumene that's saleable pretty quickly. Okay. Well, thank you, George. I hope the negotiations that you're obviously involved in today do continue to go well, and hopefully we'll be speaking in a week or two's time to discuss that LOI, and we can see how things can go from there. But for now, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much indeed.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.